Good
Welcome.
afternoon, everybody. Good evening. My name is Julie Perron. I'm the Director of Equity and Dual Programs here with Walla Walla Public Schools. And this is a bit of information about our dual language kindergarten program. I do want to let folks know that this will be available, this PowerPoint, on our website. And at any time, if you have questions, feel free to email us. Find us on www.wwps.org with that kindergarten roundup, which looks just like this. Or you can call us at 526-6791. That's Miss Herrera's direct line, and she's able to answer questions at any time. I have some wonderful folks here on the screen. We have some of our kindergarten teachers with us tonight, and also our dual language leaders, our administrators in the building. So I just want to give a shout out to Mrs. Foster and Mr. Klein and Mr. Hernandez. And we also have our wonderful, it looks like we have two. I have Miss Matson here. We also have Miss Valencia, and Mrs. Helm has been here as well. And I can speak from my heart when I say dual language children are in the best hands ever. As the former principal of a dual school, I would have taken any of my three babies, who thank goodness are no longer in kindergarten, but I would have taken any of my children and put them in any of these rooms, because I believe in these teachers and they believe in students and they believe in dual. So I want to say a few things about this quote right here before we move on. I love this quote by this psycholinguist who says, one language sets you in a corridor for life. Two languages open every door along the way. And in our dual language program, we truly believe that two languages makes the world a better place for our families, for each other, for understanding, for our big belief in social justice for all students. So Pam, if you want to go to the next slide. So a goal of a dual language program has three goals that are consistent. But before we talk about those three goals, I want you to remember 223, because a dual language program has two languages, two sets of kids or population, and three goals. So there's no quiz at the end of this PowerPoint, but I do want you to remember 223. Two sets of kids, two languages, three goals. All these goals are equally important. But for me personally and professionally, I have found that the beauty and the power and the value and the dynamic nature of dual, goal number 3, that socio-cultural competence of being able to get along with others, to embrace diversity, to celebrate each other's differences, is the top goal. But all three goals are equally important. The first is high levels of academics in all content area. The second is being bilingual and bicultural in the way you speak, you listen, you read, and you write. And then, of course, my baby, sociocultural competence, where we really learn to get along in the world and open those doors, not only for ourselves, but for each other. Okay, Pam. Do you want me to say beep? I can do like beep. So the benefits of dual language are immense. And these are ones that you can read on your own, but the ones I really want to focus on is the last goal here on this page: abilities to communicate in a global and diverse workforce and world. That to me is the goal that encompasses the efforts that our teachers and our staff in our schools make. Dual language is not learning one language in isolation. The purpose of dual is to prepare our students for those post-secondary pursuits. So of course you can read all the benefits they're never exhaustive. There are so many more benefits than even those listed here. As a person who taught in dual language and was a dual language principal and believes in this, when I see my first students who are now 25 years old that went through dual language with me in California. The excitement I feel for the jobs and the opportunities they have is immense. Beep. So here's sort of how our dual classrooms work in kindergarten. For this coming year, Edison will have 4 sections of dual immersion kindergarten. That means all the kindergarten rooms at Edison are dual. Green Park has 2 sections of dual immersion kindergarten. Students from both Spanish and English dominant homes are integrated in each class, and students are in self-contained classrooms with a teacher who is fluent both in Spanish and English. And I want to say something about that third bullet, that students from Spanish and English dominant homes are integrated. With our unique Walla Walla population, sometimes our students come from homes that are dominant in both Spanish and English. So we learn to honor and find ways to meet those children's needs too, because sometimes you might speak Spanish at home and maybe you have 5 children. And if you do have 5 children, bless you. If you do have 5 children, it might be that the children speak to each other in English, but you speak to the children in Spanish. And so we see this richness happening in our classrooms, and we want to honor this when kids come to our schools. Beep. Here's our current dual immersion breakdowns by schools and grade levels. As you can see, Edison is blue. So Edison, because it has just 1 more year to become, after this coming year, 1 more year until it's all dual, those blue numbers are higher. Green Park has mostly 2 sections per grade level. So 2 sections of kinder, 2 sections of first. Next year, we'll have 2 sections of second. So Green Park is creating a model of 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, where Edison is going to be full dual eventually. And then you can see Sharpstein, still important and valuable within our system, but this year only has a 4th grade strand and a 5th grade strand. So truly what we're looking for in terms of our vision is Edison will become all dual. In 2 more years, that will be completed. And Green Park will maintain a steady 2 classroom per grade as it goes up the line. Beep. This is always a little bit of a complicated slide, and in full transparency, with our really interesting year and our teachers doing an amazing job with working and helping kids stay engaged during a pandemic. This is not true to what's happened every day, because in our Zoom world and our just asynchronous learning and synchronous learning, but our goal is to have our kindergarten and 1st graders receive 2 languages, but the majority of their instructional day is in Spanish. So 80% in Spanish, 20% in English. Those colors do not represent the students' languages. Those colors represent the percentage of instruction. Remember I said 2, 2, 3? Well, these colors represent how much Spanish is used in the classroom and how much English is used in the classroom. So every year, the English increases. So by the time you're at 5th grade, you can see that we try to make it 50-50. But the 50-50 is not the students. The 50-50 is the language of instruction. Beep. A lot of times families ask, what do we model our research on? This is a guide from the Center of Applied Linguistics. You can get the website information from us if you send me a little email or call me. You can also find it on cal.org, which I'll put in the chat. It's not going to be the kind of reading you want to do as you fall asleep before bed. You are going to want to take your time. There's lots of theory and research. The annotated bibliography at the back goes on forever, but truly right now it represents the best of how we create foundational programs for language learning. You can look at it anytime you want. If you need help finding it, we will definitely point you in the right direction. But I want you to understand we're really trying to use best practices with our teachers. They are solid, they're instructionally sound, but we all need to have a template for how we build our program. Beep. So what can you do? Sometimes our families say, but I only speak English at home, so I don't know if I can manage this. But there are ways that you can believe and advocate for your child as they become part of that. Let's open doors for them, that 2 languages open doors. And these are some of the ways you can help. Reading to your child in your strongest language. Your child is going to be reading in Spanish in the dual program, and you will be so excited when you see how quickly they become confident and fluent. But read and show your child the value of reading. Seek opportunities, now that we know with your mask on, of course, to explore via human interaction, shows, libraries, community events, ways that you can expose your child to another language. Get involved in your child's education in both languages. I always tell parents, demonstrate your courage and learn something new. Learn some Spanish or learn some English. Demonstrate that you can model that. And often, I will tell you, your children will know way more than you. It happens to me still. So that's okay. Let your child become an expert in an area. Ask questions when you're uncertain. Your teachers are your top resources. You're going to get paperwork that comes home that sometimes in a language you might not understand. Because you're in the dual program, modeling that courage to ask questions about that is huge. And that's okay, whether it comes home in English, whether it comes home in Spanish. Be in the language. Try apps and websites such as Spanish Playground, sing songs, watch shows together. And I just plug our website. Check out our website because our dual language website has a whole area of Spanish resources what you can access as parents. And then lastly, stay positive and patient, because sometimes our families think that this exposure to Spanish is going to magically create fluent children within 10 days because maybe you saw that on TV. It's not how that works. That patience is so important. So when you have a kindergartner or a first grader and you go to McDonald's, don't expect your child to ask for an hamburguesa. They're not going to feel comfortable yet to speak in Spanish. You have to kind of realize that every child is different with the level they are and the confidence. Now, in my experience as a principal and also as a director, I have seen students take this on quickly with confidence, but mostly our students need time to figure out how comfortable they feel. And the best way you can help with that is to stay positive and patient. And I know the teachers will concur with this. Your kids might be exhausted the first couple weeks when they come home. They might roll around on the floor. You might roll around on the floor. They might be whiny. They might need extra time. They might need a break. But learning a second language is truly a conscious and subconscious process, and that we all need to sort of be aware of and ask questions about, and sort of not panic when your child doesn't know the entire alphabet in Spanish right away. Beep. So I want to explain a little bit about the timeline. And like I said earlier, it's very easy to access our information from that kindergarten roundup link that Pam had earlier in the slides. But if you are following exactly the clarity that Executive Director Kurtulis kind of explored, April 19th is that day to register. Just know that you must also fill out our dual kindergarten application, which you can access on our website or on the roundup page now. The kindergarten application for dual gives us information about your child and gives us your information so that when you fill out the April 19th, we can match that information. We do not select your classroom teacher or your school at this point. It's a full process that we manage with meticulousness, and we want to make sure we hit all the pieces and connect with you. That doesn't mean you can't call us anytime and ask questions. We've had some very enthusiastic parents that have already called several times to make sure we've received their application, and we call back and we say, yes, we have, or let me help you with that. So just know that it won't be till end of May and sometimes June till we start putting those pieces together. If you have specific questions on transportation, the transportation information is all on our website as well. The one thing I want to say that we get a lot of questions on is, what if I don't want dual? I don't want my child in dual kinder, but we live in the Edison attendance area. That's no problem, because we will find you a school that's appropriate for you. Usually our Edison students go to Bernie as the overflow school, but we don't want you to feel like you can't ask questions to us or to Edison, because whether our kids are dual or not, all our kids matter here, and we're going to take care of them because we are Walla Walla, and we are going to round them up just like this roundup's been tonight. I don't know if you have specific questions, and I want to see if maybe Mrs. Foster and or Mr. Klein or Mr. Hernandez have anything to add.
Sure, I'll add something. I think also it's important to note that the dual language program it's a long commitment, and we know that when our students enter into kinder that they will continue to learn in both languages, but through 5th grade. So this is definitely not Sesame Street 2.0, right? So it is a true commitment that families and schools make to rally around our students and to support them and to nurture this love to become bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural. But it is definitely something that I hope that every parent and family really sits down and talks and also gets the perspective of and ask their child what he, she, or they think. So it's for the long haul, we're really looking at the long game for this, because as Dr. Perron said, it is not something that they just automatically get within a month and that they're completely bilingual. So this is a huge investment for parents and for schools to really make sure that we are providing the most rich and supportive environment for our students.
And I'd also like to add as well, in order for our students to have those high levels of proficiency in a second language, they need to start at an early age. So it is really important to get them started in kindergarten. So thank you families that are listening in at the moment and taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity.
I'm wondering if any of our wonderful dual teachers have anything to add. No pressure, but if you did want to sing to our families, this is your big opportunity. Oh, they're so shy.
So Julie, we do have some questions. I don't know if you can see those or not. Are you able to see the chat? The question and answer, I mean?
I can definitely. Can you clarify the difference between Edison and Green Park dual programs? The programs have the same goals. They use several of the same curriculum materials. They're both self-contained, meaning the same teacher is teaching all day. The difference is that Edison, all the kindergartens are dual, and at Green Park, 2 of the kindergarten classrooms are dual. What do the dual language students get in middle school? The program doesn't extend beyond elementary. In middle school, there is a section or 1 class worth of dual language arts, dual Spanish language arts, but the rest of the day for those students is with their non-dual peers in the gen ed setting. How can I evaluate if the dual program might be a good fit for my child? We like to say that dual is something we want every child to have an opportunity, but there are some students who are a better fit just from their level of curiosity and their interest in new things, and they're wanting to learn something new. And some kids are shy and it takes a while, but I've seen very shy and quiet students thrive after a while once they get the hang of it. But I've used this story several times in my dual language career, that there are times that families don't realize that that Spanish is for 80% of the day, and they think it's going to be a little bit like, well, in the old school, like a romper room, like maybe we're going to do, you know, buenos dias, ¿cómo está? And that's about it. And by the end of the day, the kids are literally very frustrated, and so are the families, to the point that I have had an experience walking by a classroom where a child said to me, "Hey lady, get me out of here." That is a true story. And it was because the child did not have an understanding of what an exciting and different experience this was going to be.
So Dr. Brown, I want to add on to that. So the dual program, I heard you say, so in middle school, there is, for students that have been in dual in elementary, there's a course they can continue to take in middle school. And I also want to add that families that, for some of these reasons that Dr. Perron just talked about, is not right for your student at this time, we do offer a Spanish 1 and a Spanish 2 class at middle school. So middle schoolers have the opportunity to go into high school with 2 foreign language credits, or Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. So that's another option if your child's not ready now. They could pick up Spanish if you wanted them to when they get to middle school.
Thank you so much, Christy. Are there district conversations about extending dual through middle and high? Well, we have it at middle. At high school, students from dual usually enter AP language and AP literature as their choices. And then they take the AP test. They have an opportunity for the seal of biliteracy. And we've seen students really experience success with that model. If someone wants to apply for dual kinder out of district, what order should forms be done in? Is there a chance they wouldn't get into a dual class? Well, I think Director Katulis sort of addressed this already. So there's always that choice form that's going to need to happen. You can fill out the application for a dual interest, but we won't be able to move on it until those other pieces have happened. Christy, did you want to add anything to that?
No, yeah, just to reiterate, you could even queue up your choice transfer now in the system. So on April 19th, as we open that system and start accepting choice transfers, you can simultaneously fill out the dual interest form and register in our system. Your registration, the overall registration outside of dual, wouldn't be approved until the choice transfer is. So you can simultaneously do all of those things. And then the other question that had to do with open enrollment is, if you go into the dual program at Green Park or Edison and that is not your homeschool, you do not need to open enroll. It's called district programming, and that is different than open enrollment, where we wouldn't have a special program in a school and you're just choosing to go somewhere else.
Thank you. Do non-dual elementary students get Spanish instruction every day? Just curious if bilingualism is something Walla Walla Public Schools supports for all students. I would love to say that all students have the opportunity for Spanish instruction. During our interesting, wonky pandemic year, we've tried to create some opportunities, but Spanish instruction guaranteed every day is a dual situation. However, 2 years ago at Edison, we were able to provide some Spanish courses for enrichment after school. I know that Mrs. Foster and Mr. Klein and Mr. Hernandez are open to those opportunities at the elementary school if we can find ways to generate interest and promote bilingualism even outside of the dual model. So it's something we're considering. Also, Walla Walla Online has a Spanish enrichment program in the evenings twice a week for families who are interested to keep that Spanish going. Transportation All right, so transportation for kiddos that are open enrolled in the dual language program. Sometimes. Please read the information that is lengthy on the website or give us a call in our office so we can check your address and check our routes. The guarantees for transportation are often related to the exact language that's on our website. And I want to be sensitive to that because in the past, folks have really been under the impression that they were going to get transportation to one school over another. And we have certain schools that go to certain places. For example, in most cases, students that live in the Bernie neighborhood who have a Bernie address, their dual language school where we would work our best to set up transportation is Edison. But sometimes we have Bernie families that say, I want Green Park. I've waited my whole life for Green Park. Green Park is for me. Well, that might mean that if Green Park has space and can accept your family, the transportation would have to be provided by the family. So I'd rather take those case by case and talk people through it. If you were in another district with a bilingual program, can you transfer into the Walla Walla? Tricky question, question answer anonymous attendee, because we need to know what kind of bilingual program was in that other district. We would need to know if it's dual, were you in an 80-20 model? Were the goals the same? Was it a successful experience? It is possible that that transfer can happen, but at that point, we really do individual assessments to see where your students are. Look how fast it's going, and I'm doing all the talking. Again, transportation questions, you can send me a question directly, or you can call our office. I'm going to put my direct email. I check it 24 hours a day. Just kidding, but I will get back to you.
Can I clarify something too? I think in one of the last questions, all of our district is zoned for Edison or Green Park. So if you're in our district, you are in one of those. The transportation gets tricky when, let's say, your address right now sits in the Green Park dual zone and you would want to go to Edison. That's where Dr. Perron's talking about working with her on transportation. But if you go to the one that's in your zone, you're good. We will provide transportation.
And sometimes you start with a certain zone and then you might move to another zone. And you might not realize that when you changed addresses, you changed zones. And so sometimes that can be a little frustrating for families, and we want to make sure we mitigate that if we can. A little bit more about the online evening Spanish class. Currently, Walla Walla Online offers an evening Spanish course for students who are participating in Walla Walla Online. So if you want specific information about that, you can also send me an email and I will connect you to the right people so I can give you the right dates and times. Pam, am I missing anything else?
It's if Prospect Point is our home school, but we want to attend the dual language program, do we fill out the open enrollment kindergarten application?
Go ahead, Christy.
No. So if you need to fill out the dual interest application form, and if you're not already in our system through TK or Head Start or ECAP, you'll need to apply to our school district, but you do not need to open enroll for the dual program either at Green Park or Edison, as long as you live in our Walla Walla Public School attendance area.
Okay, let's see. I read online that certain homeschools are assigned to either Edison and Green Park, or does it just depend on interest and space?
So like Christy said, we have a particular zone plan. So depending on where you are, and I'm going to try to pull up that link for transportation so folks can read it and don't have to search for it. But how it works right now, it is based on your address. If you are in the Bernie attendance area, you're Edison. And if you're Prospect Point, you're Green Park. If you're Sharpstein, you're usually Edison, but the Sharpstein the addresses are a little bit different. So we've been working with those on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, and what transportation is available for dual kids who are not zoned for either Edison or Green Park?
Well, everyone is. So you are in one or the other. If you were asked to provide your own transportation, it would be because you're choosing to go to the school that is not the one that you're in that catchment area or zone we just talked about.
Okay, I think we've answered all of them. There was one that came up in chat, but I think we've already covered it. It was if our home school is Sharpstein, which dual language school is in our zone for transportation. And we just kind of covered that. So,
And Pam, I just put the link halfway down. Frequently asked questions is all the information on transportation.
beautiful. And that is also on the Roundup website as well. So
Correct.
a new one just came up. Would a speech therapy need disqualify from, probably wants to know if it disqualifies them from attending the dual language.
Not necessarily, but we take speech very seriously, and it depends on the specifics of the need, the diagnoses, in articulation. If the recommendations have been for a student that are TIC and all the pieces that go along with speech, because speech is, it's a very sensitive area, and the goal is to help create one language solidly, and it looks like two languages could create some confusion. We want to have a conversation with the specialist, with the teacher, with the principal. But again, and I know this isn't always the answer people want to hear, but dual language is very personal for students, and their experiences are very different. So we want to be able to support our students, but we also want to look at unique cases on a case-by-case basis. We've seen lots of success with kids with lots of disabilities and lots of kids with abilities. Kids are amazing either way. So we want to make sure we open this and it are as inclusive as we can be, but we know there are some things that might be frustrating for kids. So we really look at this on a case-by-case basis. Again, your principals are amazing. You can reach out for specific questions to Mrs. Foster or Mr. Klein or Mr. Hernandez. Your kinder teachers are phenomenal at these schools. And like I said, my own children, if I could go back in time, I would drop any of my kids in any of these rooms. But I do want to emphasize, I don't want to go back in time. I'm very happy where I am. And I'm so happy you could be with us tonight. And again, send me an email, call us. We'll answer any questions we can.
Oh, we just got someone else. If we live in College Place and are, not sure.
That's too early to answer the question about would they go to Edison or Green Park. We'll have to see where all our resident students are within our system first, and then determine where our spaces are. Sometimes you get a choice, but our kinders fill up pretty fast. And thank you for saying we're doing awesome. Believe me, this is a huge team effort. Are there interviews with the kids? In the past, before COVID, we were able to do family interviews here at the district office. But for the last 2 years, what we've done is we have some input forms we use with preschool and with our TK staff to figure out how to make those best fits. And it's been a unique challenge. We're hoping when we get back to person in another year, like in another full year, we'll be able to do some of those assessment pieces we did before. What are the odds of not being accepted in dual language? Too early to say. Pam, are you wanting me to wrap it up or?
In just a second, we have another question. It says, what criteria is used?
So dual immersion is part of our public education system. So anyone is able to apply to our program, and we fit students as appropriately as we can. If students are coming with specific issues or concerns that have showed up in some of our paperwork, then we circle back and have conversations with those households. Like I said, because we're not in person again for our interviews that were individualized, we haven't been able to do those steps that we did in the past.
Okay. All right, just about 30 seconds more for those last questions. And then we will call this a wrap. We had a lot of questions tonight. Says, what about Zoom interviews?
No, we're not in a place where we can do Zoom interviews with children at this point.
All right, again, if you have any questions about any of the presentation you saw earlier, about any of the dual presentation, you can get that information from that Kindergarten Roundup website. Has all the links to all of the websites that we've talked about tonight. Plus it has all of the contact information for everybody, all the panelists here tonight as well. So please reach out if you have any other questions, and we're excited that you were able to join us, and have a great night. Thank you, everybody.